Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a playthrough of Scream, Aim, Fire. We're going to do scenario 1, Welcome to Hell. So I've already got the board set up. In this case it starts with 1 Japanese heavy machine gun, 2 Type 95 tanks for the Japanese units that start on the board. The American units, 3 infantry, 3 veterans, 1 lieutenant. Now the lieutenant has to be assigned to a veteran squad. 1 flamethrower team, and 2 Sherman tanks. Now, if you read here on the American setup, on the west edge of the map, in any water hex in the first row. Okay, first lieutenant must be set up with a veteran unit, and the 2 M4 tanks will be set up on any beach hex. The tanks can't move, they're immobilized, but they will be able to fire their guns. And the dice that we'll be using are 5d6, and 4s are considered 6s. Now there is a rule that after you roll your dice, that you can change one of them. So it makes sense to, if I roll a 4, I can change that before it's considered a 4. So if I roll a 4 and change it to a 5, I'm allowed to do that. Otherwise, the timing of things, if I rolled a 4, say I rolled a 3 and a 4, and the 4 became a 6, and then I go, oh, I'm going to change that 3 to a 4. Oh, now that's a 4, it becomes a 6. So just to be consistent, I'm going to roll the dice, modify, make my 1 modification if I choose to, and then at that point apply any 4s as 6s. Okay? Japanese setup. It says Japanese infantry veteran units will arrive via the red hex or reinforcement hexes at game start after rolling on the enemy spotted table. And we'll get to what that actually involves. I'm going to move this. So that's the hex where the reinforcements come in. Okay, you'll see on this particular layout there are 1, 2, 3 pillboxes. It says the 3 pillboxes will activate at the start of each Japanese turn. Japanese reinforcements will arrive if the reserve counter reaches 30. And over here in the corner of the map there is a marker. So every time the Americans take a result, panic, or damage, this counter ticks up 1 box. Okay, we have game turns on this side. Oh, and here's the setup, by the way, for the initial Japanese. So you'll see that on the map is printed for the heavy machine gun. And then the 2 Type 95s are going to come in on these hexes. And Cabby just jumped up on the table. So here's the deployment, and there's the Americans' morale score. So the victory condition of this scenario, let's go back here. The player must reach a morale score of 40 and destroy the 3 pillboxes. If after 12 turns the conditions have not been met, then it's a Japanese victory. Okay, so a couple of things. Destroying the pillboxes are worth 10 victory points. You have to destroy all 3 of them. There's 30 of your 40 points right there. If they disable one of the tanks, you get them as a bailout result. That's 5 victory points, or 5 morale points. And destroying one is 10. So if they happen to destroy the 3 pillboxes and 1 of the tanks, or get 2 bailouts on the tanks, there's your 40 points without even engaging with the enemy. Okay, so let's get this fixed. I'll be right back. In this game, we're going to be using 5d6, and 4s are considered 6s. After I roll the dice, there is a rule that allows you to change the result of 1 dice by 1 pip value, up or down. So if I rolled a 5, I could change this to a 6, or I could change that 5 to a 4. So for example, say this was my roll. Now these 4s are going to be considered 6s in this scenario. And I don't need 3 6s. So maybe what I would do is convert one of these to a 5. And then afterwards, I'm going to then change all 4s to 6s. That would actually be a great roll for this first turn, because that would activate my flamethrower, my tank, a tank, and an infantry unit. Now, note, I had posted a video yesterday of my last playthrough, and when I was activating all of the units. Jay posted a comment correcting that, in that I should only be activating 1 unit, not all units of that type. Okay, so if you happen to have seen that first video, please ignore that. That wasn't a fair representation of the way the game works. Oh, invasion. So we're reshooting it here today. Alrighty, so let's get into this. I've already laid out, let's go over a little bit of strategy here so you understand the objective. I need to get to 40 morale and destroy these 3 bunkers by the 12th turn. Okay, if as the Americans, which is who you are playing in this scenario, I am unable to do that, then it's a Japanese victory. So, the Japanese start with these 3 units on the board. I have a machine gun. You'll see it's printed on the map. 2 Type 95s, and you'll see that there are icons printed on the map. I'll put those there. This is the reinforcement hex where the Japanese reinforcements come in, unless stated otherwise. And then there's a blue hex here where the Marine reinforcements come in. Reinforcements are checked from turn 3 on. So the first 2 turns, we will not be doing a reserve check. I will put up the turn sequence. And so you can kind of follow along. It'll be on and off as required on the screen. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is American turn. First thing you check for is Japanese artillery fire. There is no artillery in this scenario, so we move on to the enemy spotted check. The enemy spotted check is where we look on the American turn for Japanese units that are on the board. Okay? So, the way this is done is if there are less than 5 Japanese units on the board, we roll a dice and consult the table. There are 3. We rolled a 3, and that's going to bring on 3 Japanese infantry and 2 Japanese veterans. And they're going to come in here. Now, one of the things I did is I went, and there is a rule that if the unit, the Japanese has a number in the upper right-hand corner, that corresponds to which one of, if there is a match, which Marine unit they're going to kind of focus on. So to kind of make sure we get some of that as opposed to just randomly pulling reinforcements for the Japanese, I went and pulled all the matches for what I have on the Marine side for the various units, okay? So now I'll randomly pull from here, but we get 3 infantry, okay? So very quickly, 1, 2, 3. So this one goes after unit 1, this one goes after 5, F goes after the flamethrower. Put 2 there, and we put 1 there. Now we're going to get 2 veterans. We're going to do the same thing with the veterans. And one of them targets the lieutenant. And let's see if he comes up. Goes after 12. goes after 10. Put that there. And I think technically I'm supposed to put it one around, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in cover. I'm going to give Japanese a bit of an advantage here. Yeah, I'm playing solo. I want to give them some cover here. Okay, I'll put the two veterans there. Okay, it's a little leeway. Now we come to the order phase. This is where we're going to roll our 5 dice. 2 6s, so the flamethrower is activated. We have a 5, which activates one of the tanks. We have a 4 and a 2. Okay, so we want to get both the tanks to fire. We're going to use the tactic of trying to knock out these pillboxes with our tanks. So we want every opportunity we can to do that. And if we're able to knock this pillbox out, and we don't need to go over in that direction, this unit, because it cannot move, basically is taken out of the game. So this 4 now becomes a 5. We've got 2 6s and a 2. 2 means we can move. We're not going to get an opportunity to fire. So we can activate a flamethrower, we can activate 1 infantry unit, and we can activate both our tanks. So if we look here, we have our flamethrower and a veteran unit with our first lieutenant blitz. So we will do the 2 first. We will move that unit along with the first lieutenant. Then we will activate our flamethrower, move them. Now you're supposed to flip them over so you know you moved them, but I don't need to because I got the tanks next, right? So that's now done. Okay, this tank. So as I was told, they have 5+ to knock out the pillbox. So this tank is going to fire here, 5+. 5, boom, that one's gone. That's good. This one is going to fire on the, well, no, we want him to fire on the middle one. So we're going to go ahead and have this tank fire on that one. A 1, it does not. Okay, so I'm just going to put a marker so we know that that pillbox has now been destroyed. So good job. Hopefully we get a couple more 5s next turn. We can take these 2 pillboxes out as quickly as we did last game. Alrighty, next part of the is check for reserves, because we've already activated our units. That is now done, as there is no reserve check because it's not turn 3. American turn done. Okay, Japanese turn. Activate pillboxes. These 2 pillboxes are activated. They have a range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one reaches to the edge of the water. I don't believe that it has any effect on these tanks. This one activated, has nothing it can fire on. So we adjust the status. Everybody is calm. No need to make any changes. Next, Japanese infantry. The way the Japanese infantry works is each unit we draw an action card for, and then we take the appropriate action. So let's start with number 1. I have my action cards here. Just a quick shuffle. Oh, she might get a room timeout, we'll see. Okay, no action. Let's go to number 5. Oh. And she rolled the dice. Oh, she has one in her mouth and rolled that one. I'll be right back. Okay, room timeout for Cabby. Okay guys, so we are going to activate all the units. There is one little note. I'll put an image here. The rule book has a little sentence at the end of the Japanese infantry action section that says, do not draw a card for a veteran unit. They activate as described in section 9. I think that's an error. Section 9 talks about heavy machine guns. So I'm going to play this at the veterans do get a card drawn, and that's just a typo. So just be aware of that. When you read Section 9, it doesn't imply anything at all about veterans. It talks only about heavy machine guns. Hopefully I got that right. Let me know in the comments if that's misplayed. I don't think it's going to be overly critical, but we'll see. Alrighty, so shuffle up my action cards. We're going to go to number 5. Move up to 2 hexes, change to alert. The only way that these tanks are going to get taken out is through a Bonsai charge, by these 2 tanks, or by an assault. Japanese really do need to eliminate these tanks, because I'm just going to sit here and take out the pillboxes, which gives me, 75% of my victory conditions. So we don't have to move, but they will be alerted. And this is number 5, going for number 5. Okay. 1, 2. No action. The first veteran, move up to 1 hex, fire if within range, change to alert if unit fired. So we can move up to 1 hex. So we're going to move this veteran up to 1 hex. Nothing's in range. We're not going to fire. It doesn't change their alert. There we go. Next is the final veteran. Same activation. Okay. So in this case, we're going to do the same thing. Alrighty, that is the infantry move. Now we go to the Japanese heavy machine gun, but can't do anything. Now we go to a Japanese surprise Bonsai attack. This unit was the last unit to fire on a roll of 1 on a 6-sided dice. There is a surprise Bonsai attack. A 1. We now have a Bonsai attack. This is good for the Japanese. They can take this tank out. Assault. We roll 4d6. A result of 14 plus will destroy that tank. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. It does not. That's an unsuccessful Bonsai attack, and so this just goes away. That ends the first turn. We go to turn 2. Americans. We start with Japanese artillery fire. Again, there is none. We go to the spotted check. There's over 5, so there are no reinforcements. Okay, we flip these back over, by the way. Oh, halt. I didn't move my tanks. I did my Bonsai attack. That's fine. These tanks are just going to move 2. You check the range. Tank is 8 or more hexes from the closest American tank. It'll move towards the closest American tank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It moves 2. Okay. Now the order phase. We're going to roll our 5 dice. Looking for 5s. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We don't want to change anything here. Okay. 2 6s, 2 5s, and a 3. So this will allow us to move and fire, and move and fire. They can only move 1, and they won't be in range. This has a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. If I move 2, then if that pillbox is still active, I'm going to take fire from it. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to hold. Now, I'm assuming if I fire at the pillbox, even though these units are here, that they're not going to be affected. Jay, if you watch this, maybe give me a clarification in the comments. I'm aiming for the pillbox. I suspect I'm firing AP rounds. And so there's probably no effect on the veterans. That's how I'm going to play it. Okay, we're going to start with this tank firing here. 5+, takes out that pillbox. 2, it does not. So that tank is fired. Here, there, 5. Oh, 1, nope. They're done. Okay, because of that, I am not moving up to the beach to get shot. Not this turn. I'm going to try. I've got 12 turns. I'm in no rush. They're kind of wading along, so I am going to not move. Because I can only activate 1 unit, I may get them up there and not be able to move anybody else up, and then they just get slaughtered. If I don't get good dice rolls, these guys aren't moving very far. So you know what? I am going to go ahead and move them up to here because that's as far as I can move anyway, and they're not in range. So at least I'm getting myself prepped. Okay. It's only turn 2. No morale check. Or excuse me, no reserve checks. That's everybody activated. We go to the Japanese turn. Pardon my arm. Activate the pillboxes. Activated. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing to shoot at. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing to shoot at. Okay, we adjust status. Nobody's in Bonsai, so they don't go down to, have to check that. They're alerted. They don't go down from there. So they stay alerted. Everybody else as is. Okay, so now we get into the Japanese infantry. Let's start with this unit here. Move up to 1 hex. They're not in range. Not of anything they can fire at. Okay. Let's go with this unit here. That is alerted. Okay. Move up to 1 hex. Fire within range. And move up 1 hex. And they are alerted. Would have been nice if these were maybe 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch counters so that I could see what beneath it was alerted, but that's minor. Okay, let's go ahead with this unit here in the back. Next, no action. Let's start with number 10. Move up to 2 hexes, change to alert. So they're going to be alerted, and I can move up to 2 hexes. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it doesn't say and fire. It just says 2 hexes. 1, 2. Then next turn, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2. Probably want to go here so that they can try to get to that tank to knock it out. And they are alerted, although they can now come under fire. Okay. Over to Unit 12, no action. Okay. That is the end of the infantry turn. We go to the heavy machine gun, nada to do. We go to the tanks, count their range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They move 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Surprise Bonsai attack. This was the last unit to fire. A 1. Oh, look at that. Bonsai again. 4 dice. Need a 14 plus. 7, 10, 11. They do not. 2 Bonsai attacks. This Sherman hasn't hit anything yet. They're mobile. That crew is like, holy crap. And they've got 2 units bearing down on them as well. I think I'm going to put it underneath. Then we flip everybody back over. And that's the end of turn 2. We're now going to turn 3. Remember, we will be checking for reserves for the Americans at the end of their turn. I should have flipped those back over. That's fine. Okay.